I think the biggest challenge I've seen in tolling over the last few years, setting and managing realistic expectations. And honesty of communications in what's happening. So we all know there's going to be problems, right? Yeah. None of these are going to come off perfect.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Toll Talk, Engineering Excellence in Tolling. I'm one of your hosts, Kaylee Jakovics, and with me,
I'm Alex Ficari.
And today we have Randy Moore, Vice President of LJA Engineering, joining us. Randy, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, it's really great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for everybody, Randy, where are you calling? Where are you calling in from today?
I'm Dallas is what everybody will know, but I'm just a little north in McKinney, Texas.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Okay, that's great. And so before we get started, because obviously you're very well known, everybody knows you, but could you maybe talk?
Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You're a likable guy. It's great. You're all the events. It's great.
Many people know you.
I'm the guy that gets you to the after party.
There you go. That's an important
VIP.
job. But tell people know a little bit more about you. Let us know about you personally. What's going on in your life? Where are you from?
Well, originally born in Casper, Wyoming. Odd place, right? Nobody's from that area. My dad was in oil, so similar to military. We spent a lot of time moving around, 2 to 3 years in some place. So I lived in Texas, California. I grew up quite a bit in New Orleans, which was an excellent place for a kid to grow up. Just a lot to do and just a cool city, cool vibe, cool food. Moved to Oklahoma when I was about 13, and my parents said, "See you guys later." And they went off to Europe and did oil and gas there. And we kind of grew up in Oklahoma and then spent a lot of time, there and been here in Texas now for about 13 years. So
okay. Excellent.
Yeah. Very cool. And so, tell us a little bit about your career journey. How'd you get involved with the industry? How'd you end up at LJA?
So I started in restaurants, and that was my gig, right? And I wanted to be a chef, get my culinary degree, all of that. But that was in the day where restaurant wasn't cool, right? Now it's like rock star, right? These chefs and stuff. But back in the day, it was pretty much all day, all night, evenings and weekends. Your work time was everybody else's playtime. And my son, I had a son, and I'm about 25 at that point. And I'm like, I've got to go do something different. The only pictures I would be in was when they would come to the restaurant for like Easter or Thanksgiving or something like that. Yeah. So went to school, got my degree, and realized I can't stay in restaurants while I finish this stuff up. So I got a state job with the Department of Environmental Quality. And that gets you on open to registers, right? State registers. And I saw a job for the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. And so I went and applied for it. I took it. It was an operations manager for their customer services division. And I really fell in love with it because to me, this industry has a nice mix. It's got technology, which is fascinating, right? Yeah. We're cutting edge on a lot of things. But then it has the aspects that I really liked about restaurants, which was, I'll call it customer service, creating an experience. We're out here doing things. We're solving problems. We're benefiting our communities. We're benefiting overall transportation ecosystem. So you've got that aspect of you walk away at the end of the day and you felt like you did something. Yeah. And then, for me, lastly, I'm attracted to the flame, right? I come from restaurant and I like that atmosphere. You know what I mean? Where I'm not going to call it gunslinging. I mean, we did that back in the day, right? We don't need pre-prod, but those days have all changed. But there's still that flame, that fire of the immediacy, the urgency, and then, creating that experience or doing something that matters. And so those facets really drew me in. I took it just as a job, right? I need a job. But then I really got excited about what we were doing. And so from there, I just kind of moved into progressive roles. I was their enforcement branch manager. We were the first in the nation to implement an automated video violation enforcement system, looking up DMV records out in the lanes, installing cameras, fixing them. It was cool stuff. And it just kind of progressed from there. I spent like 12, maybe 13 years. And when I left there, I was a division director for their Pike Pass program, their customer service operations program.
Know that product well, yeah.
I went to the dark side.
Okay.
From there over to the integrator side and worked with, you guys are familiar, formerly ETC, Electronic Transaction Consultants, now Quarter Hill, great group of people. Spent about 13 and a half years there. I had to take a little bit of a break in between. Like I really got kind of burnt out on tolling. So I went and moved over to a company, Heidelberg Cement. Lehigh Hansen, global company, huge managed business systems, and found two things. One, I was just a number. I didn't have that entrepreneurial aspect that tolling gave. Like, I love tolling in that sense that there's so much out there and there's so many new things happening. You can find your own lane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
literally,
ETC was a company at that time that we ran lean, so we needed people to find their lanes and exploit them and really work them. And I love that aspect about it. So, 2 years later, I found out I'm a toll guy. That's who I am. So I came back and I did business development for them for about another 7-8 years. And then I got this opportunity to go work with a great group of people. Darby Swank, you guys know him in the industry. Altamash Ahmed, and doing toll consulting now for LJA Engineering. So it's been a fun ride and really exciting, working with people like you, getting to know all the people in the industry. It's a small industry, right? And we're tight knitted. Yeah. And so working together, finding solutions, and really advancing our industry has really been fun.
Yeah. It's funny because so you talk about the size of the industry, and I think anybody who's watching knows it is oddly big transactions, small world. So it's always kind of interesting, but and it affects so many people, right? So it's this real global impact, right? It's really inspiring. I think that's part I like as well. But it kind of brings me back when we got to meet you. It was like at an IBTTA event, which is the great thing. And so I'm kind of curious is. IBTTA, if people don't know, go to ibtta.org and definitely check it out. It's a phenomenal organization. But Randy, what else are you a part of? Have you been a part of another group, or what's your perspective in the world of other associations or groups to be a part of when you think transportation?
Yeah, ITS America, ITS World Congress. Those are that's a good organization for both learning and exposure. And I think as an organization, it gets you, because IBTTA is the premier organization within the U.S. and within the tolling industry. But stepping outside of that, you're going to see other technologies, other services. ITS, we're seeing that convergence, right? Smart city applications include tolling and will include tolling in the future. And as we start to bring those two together, everybody needs to understand that that industry, that technology a little better. Road user charging, RUT conference and those types are very important now as we see that convergence of tolling and RUT coming together. Primarily, though, I had always worked in the IBTTA space. It's just a great place to meet and greet and get to know people specifically in our industry, share ideas, learn from them. Yeah.
Are there any, have you presented at any of the IBTTA events? Are you a part of any of the committees, anything like that? I know I see you.
Yeah, I've presented at quite a few. Haven't lately. We got so busy at ETC before I left. And again, running lean, you have to make strategic decisions about where you're going to apply yourself. Now that I'm at LJA, we're really coming back in to IBTTA. So I'm in emerging technologies, the road use charging committee, toll revenue assurance committee, And I spent a lot of active time in the Leadership Academy Alumni Association.
Okay,
I work
great.
with them annually on the Alumni of the Year, helping to set that up, get
Which
things
is up
out.
this year. That everybody voting just went out for that too.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's great.
Yeah, I last year, like I said, when I was at Quarter Hill, things were really we were busy at the time, so I wasn't as proactive. So Casey and Michael and Mike are coming in to really help out this year. So much appreciate it, But yeah, I really like the LAAA, and I like us expanding that, and from there the Young Professionals Council, the YPC.
Yeah.
Because that's our future in this industry.
Somebody's partial.
Yeah, I'm
Somebody's
part of that.
Yeah.
So, thank you for sharing that, Randy. That was very insightful. Getting to know you more. I hope our viewers are enjoying it as well, and to see a lot of people involved in the industry, especially IBTTA. They're all leaders, and it's great to see that you're a leader as well, and you have that grind. You have that fire under you that wants to make this industry better. So that's super exciting to see. Thank you for sharing. And I want our viewers to hear a little bit about LJA and kind of, what do you guys do? What does it encompass?
Yeah, so LJA Engineering, we've been around for 52 years. I think it was 1972 started. Multidisciplinary engineering firm focused on mainly 8 sectors within the engineering environment. It includes land development, transportation, public works, environmental survey. And so it just made, a natural progression to move into tolling. A lot of people that work with LJA, we've done a lot of toll projects as a company, but more design of the infrastructure, the roadway, not so much the tolling technology and hardware. But a lot of people within the organization have been previously employed within the tolling industry and then moved more onto the engineering side. So they had always had an idea over the last 10 years to move into tolling. And so when Darby had this opportunity to move over, contacted me and Altimash, it just made good sense. Timing was great, and it was a great opportunity to, again, kind of go and start something new, right? So we're starting a new business line. And so it brings back that excitement and that flavor, and kind of what you were alluding to, Kaylee, making action happen, doing things within our industry to help benefit. So our big thing is our experience. We've, all 3 of us, we're 70 plus years of experience within this industry. And more importantly is not just, I have experience as an agency operator, experience as an integrator, Darby and Altimash, experience as integrators. We've got, over 24 implementations, back office, roadside, that the 3 of us have worked collectively. So what we're looking to do is really bring hands-on experience as opposed to just consulting experience, and get involved with organizations and help them, whether it's a system upgrade or improving operational efficiencies, getting in and helping people to do things that create return on investment, better the infrastructure, create efficiency,
Yeah. What are some of the key projects you guys are kind of working on now? If you can share, just kind of to understand.
Oh, yeah. Well, and for us, it's really more about just us getting ourselves out into the industry space and being known. We don't have it. We're working on a couple projects right now, trying to secure some clients to start working with and do some services. But more importantly, it's been about us letting the industry know who we are, that we've been around for, 50 plus years. We have the engineering and tolling experience and discipline, and starting to bring that into the market space. Each of these agencies, other consulting firms, et cetera, integrators, just understanding who we are, what we're going to be doing in the market space.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Well, I have a question, regarding industry trends and innovations. I mean, with your expertise, what is the most significant trends and innovations that you're seeing that's going to be shaping the future of tolling and transportation infrastructure?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot out there right now, right?
Absolutely.
There's so much moving in our space and so much technology around us, and I thought about this. You guys nicely gave me a little prelim. And I think one of the most important that I'm seeing is kind of the infusion of cloud-based computing into our environment, the introduction of COTS, commercial off the shelf. And when I say that, I specifically mean more of big data infrastructure.
Right.
And lastly, machine learning, like bringing those pieces together. And, I tried to think about maybe what was more important, and I see the three combined to really bring power to our industry. Cloud's giving us real-time processing applications. So in the lane, real time, you're able to do, owner lookups and understand who that vehicle is as it's traversing through the lane. That big data infrastructure with the ability to share all of the information. And then probably most importantly is the machine learning, combined with things like we're seeing image capture technologies dramatically increase in their accuracy. And you put machine learning on top of that. Now you're really starting to automate vehicle identification, understanding who that owner is, and eliminating that human review element, which is so costly. So we're starting to create those cost efficiencies that are going to start bringing us to that next level of tolling. Like for me, I see, image-based tolling to replace RFID. And eliminating that infrastructure cost of the AVI, the reader, the antenna, and most importantly, that transponder inventory base. There's a lot of cost involved with that.
Sure.
I'm seeing software as a service starting to come into play. Neology just signed a contract with Plenary Roads in Colorado for a software as a service-based implementation of tolling. I think you're going to start seeing that moving into our industry space, which is an excellent. I think we were trying to move that when I was an integrator, trying to move into that space, and it just wasn't catching on. Case vehicles, autonomous and shared vehicles, and how they're going to impact our ability to identify who was, I'll call it the owner at the time of transaction. And then obviously like this convergence of road use charging, RUC, and tolling together, and how that's going to play, not only from a technology implementation standpoint, from a customer adoption standpoint. I keep thinking, are people going to start that double taxation? Right now we pay motor fuel tax and we pay tolls, and we understand that difference. But when we start paying what I think people will perceive as a toll for utilizing all roads under a road use charging, will we start to see a backlash against tolling as a separate process? So those are things I think that, we're going to deal with, coming.
Well, Randy, when you bring those things up, I can't help but go back and reflect to, kind of your opening statement, like where you started, what you enjoyed about that customer serving aspect of it, right? Being in the restaurant and being customer facing, and really all those technologies you lined out, right? Knowing where the driver is. It's not necessarily the big brother concept, but it's also understanding how can you provide and respond to customers more accurately, with more relevant information in a timely manner. And I think at the end, that's one thing I always hope I can see more from the agencies as well as the vendors, is making, not I say more like they don't do it, but more so really pushing that to the customer vantage point so they can understand the value that it inherently will bring, and that's a tall order to get them to say, oh yes, it's okay to charge me for tolls. But I think just the idea is that you do hear and see all the makings of changing that customer journey, changing that customer experience to, a positive one. So
we have to change the overall experience, just as you're stating it. And at the end of the day, because we're in tolling, right? The technology, we're buried in it. So all of this stuff is very important to the customer.
Yeah.
It's just a thing I put in my windshield that allows me to drive a road. And why can't it just be like a credit card to me?
Yeah.
Why is this so confusing and detailed, and all the business rules that surround this? So, e-wallets, more payment options. I think tolling apps, we started to see them move into our industry space, but they didn't catch because agencies still manage their roadways. And at the end of the day, you want that agency-based transponder to drive that particular roadway. So we've got to start thinking more about the customer's overall experience, and not just when they call, is it a fun experience and am I done in 2 minutes? It's more about how we're looking at our service and how it's utilized by the public. The more we can create that efficiency to them, where it is just that I put this thing in my windshield, or I don't even have to. I just sent them, I took a snapshot of my license plate, and now I can drive anywhere.
Well, that's exactly, that's actually kind of my question, and I'm curious from your vantage point on it. Do you think, and it's purely subjective, right? You're not going to be tested or held to this, but do you think that it's a better future for the customer to not really interact or really think about the tolling structure? Or do you think it's better to have still a minimal impact, but still engage with them and let them know you're there and serving them? What do you think is the better future for drivers in your perspective?
I think the engagement and the serving always needs to be there, but it needs to be more in the space of the benefits I'm providing you and informational services. Right now, with all the complex business rules surrounding tolls, and each organization can have separate business rules. And so if I'm in a state that I might cross over multiple systems, I have to be very educated to understand. Whereas why can't we bring to more of a consistent level, such as the credit card industry did over a period of time, where the aspect of utilizing the service becomes an afterthought, a no thought, and where that benefit and that contact with the customer is more about how I'm benefiting you and additional services. When I was at Pike Pass, we started looking at a program, Pike Pass Plus, and engage vendors within the state. I think NTTA is doing this with their Toll Perks program as well. Start bringing benefit to your customer base for the fact that they're paying for the utilization of service, discounts at select vendors, and involve the state. So it becomes a state branding, go to companies that are based in your state, have them offer discounts to your customers. That type of communication, where I'm showing you that I bring the power of what we have together to the benefit of you as an individual, as opposed to you've got to understand all these complex agency-specific business rules to interact with me.
Well, it makes me wonder, and I'm sorry, Kelly, but I'm going to throw this out there. It makes me also wonder, is there a regional consideration in that expectation of consumer onboarding and incentivization, right? And so, what works in Texas, right? NTTA is super successful. Would that hold that same business model, right? Would that work in New Jersey, right? Or in Oklahoma, right? And I think for a lot of those things, I think it's the geography and not necessarily politics per se, but the culture, the expectation of that region that could also affect their expectations. And I kind of wonder, is that something we should be, looking at? Because I don't think tolling, I think we all know this, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution, state by state, agency by agency, because the business rules are different, the laws are different, everything kind of varies. But that's, to me, something worth discussing, not today, but overall, I think that's a consideration for the future as well. Should we factor in that customer journey, really understanding that local customer, and not trying to generalize our services and have a standard benchmark that we consider success. Like, I think there should be a regional consideration in that.
Yeah, and I was going to add to that too. I think it's about having that seamless experience across every single touch
Yeah.
point. It's something that we always say at Mojo, and whether it's going through the toll, it's, paying a violation, it's communications, it's really creating that great customer experience. And ultimately, once you have that, things are going to be better on the agency side as well. And like you were saying, more cost efficient. So.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool about that is we're now talking about that. 10 years ago in this space, we weren't talking at all about customer journey, customer experience. So it's very positive that we're starting to move in. And it also signifies, to all of us within our industry, okay, we've solved other problems.
Right.
We're starting to look at these types of problems now. So that's a lot of growth in a short period of time that I think we can all be happy about together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have another question. So for LJA, I mean, what kind of challenges have you undertaken, and how does your team overcome those type of challenges?
And that's something interesting because I've been with LJA now since June, so we haven't too much in that space.
Okay.
It's again been more about us just getting out in space and letting people start to get to know us. So we haven't started to hit challenges. We're looking at ways that where do we fit in from, let's say, a pricing perspective to be competitive into the market space. And depending, you've got your mid-size and your large players, and how do we fit? So those are the kind of challenges that we're working on right now, which are independent from what I think you're talking about within our industry space, right?
Yeah.
Challenges of implementation and service and maintaining schedule and all those. And, if you're asking me that question more from a general perspective, I think the biggest challenge I've seen in tolling over the last few years, setting and managing realistic expectations, and honesty of communications in what's happening. So we all know there's going to be problems, right? Yeah. None of these are going to come off perfect. Vendors and integrators are looking to standardize their products and their processes, and we're going to get there together as an industry, and that's going to improve. But even then, still, just major Microsoft implementations, you're gonna experience issues. You've got to set realistic expectations. Data migration from a 10-year-old back office system cannot be done in 3 to 6 months. Yeah, the proprietary aspects of that previous system, its architecture structure, it's going to take longer. Set the expectations. Work together. Sometimes it's not what you want to hear, but it is the truth, and let's manage to it, and then let's implement. So I think the biggest thing I saw when I was an integrator was really that, clearly managing expectations and communicating and being honest with that, creating the relationship. Our industry, we're all about relationships. We've been talking about it. We're small. I laugh. Nobody leaves. They just move somewhere else.
Yeah, that's right.
Pretty much.
Well, that's what we do. So, it is about those relationships, and that's what we're building our success upon. So let's be honest with each other, and it's going to really eliminate probably, 50, 60% of you're dealing with the problem. You're not dealing with everything that surrounds the problem. Correct. Lack of communication, lack of trust, all that thing.
Well, I'm laughing over here, not because I think it's something we live by as well. We always kind of start these projects off and kind of positioning our frame of mind, right, to let the client know this is our approach, make sure it lines up with their goals. But I always say that all projects fail due to lack of communication, mismanaged expectations. Like that, those are the critical things that kill all projects, right? That's it.
Yeah,
so I'm going to hit an issue, right? Sometimes it's going to be easily solved. Other times it's going to be big. I'm going to find the way through that. Me, the organization, the company, you're gonna find the solution.
Absolutely.
It's how you get there, and it's that communication through the process, and it's assertiveness in your response, and then the communication has to be there with the client between, and you know, it's when you miss those pieces, you start to create distrust, and once you kind of plant that little seed, everything just starts to crumble from around it. So,
man, we are kindred spirits there, and between our two sides here, because I mean that's another thing. It's I think everybody is inherently truthful, like we're all grown adults, right? But being candid about the situation. There was a book written by Jack Welch. He was the former GE CEO for a number of years, and there in his book called Winning, there's a chapter 2, and it's like one of the best chapters of a book I've ever read, and it's called Being Candid, and it's like, you know, the synopsis of it is you get to the finish line faster, right? You just like we all know, like you said perfectly, we all know something's going to go wrong, and it's just how we manage it. The communication, the expectations, is just being candid about it. Which again, I'm excited because I was just like, I completely agree with everything you said.
And when you build through that, you know, when you get to that issue, right, then you can make those decisions. Because the other thing I found is when you get moving towards the go live, you have to start making some choices.
Absolutely.
Not everything you want is going to be there. It just is going to happen that way. And you can make smart choices, but you've got to have the trust together, right? When you don't, I'm on the agency side, I'm just going to dig my feet in and no, you know, I'm not giving approval until I get, and it may not even be important, but I don't trust. So I'm going to stick and hold, as opposed to creating that relationship where you can make compromise. And then you can get there, you can get to the go live, you can do the add on, you know, within 3 months, that type of thing. Everybody wins, you know?
No, that's some good stuff. I completely agree with all of that.
Yeah, Randy, I was going to ask you too. I mean, do you have any advice for any aspiring leaders looking to get involved in the industry, or even consulting, engineering, anything along those lines?
Yeah, first one's like, come, get in, right?
Just start.
We need the next generation. We need to, and I love that IBTTA is an organization. All of us as an industry, we're recognizing that. We're starting to recruit, attract. I think LJA Engineering coming into this space brings another form of that, because we're going to start bringing more people into the industry. Beyond that, it's about passion, right? Finding your niche in a space and exploiting it for your own benefit, right? Like for me, it was that thing about doing something, making a change, implementation of whatever it may be, just that pride in, I had this big thing, I sliced it up into manageable components. I managed through that, and look what I did. And I think that, you know, have that passion to become involved. Don't be passive in your workspace. Ask questions. Find a mentor. Find somebody in the industry that you have some respect for within your company, or you met them at IBTTA. Go up and ask them. That's what I found first. When I first got introduced to IBTTA, I was with OTA, walked into this big room, was really scared, right? There's tons of people. Everybody knows everybody, and you're just standing there. My nature, because like I said, my parents moved me around every 2 years. You got to go make new friends. It wasn't a problem for me, right? I just walk right up. Hello. I don't think everybody's built that way, right?
No, not at all.
This industry is such that they will embrace, but sometimes you just got to ask. So take a moment and assert yourself into space. I want to learn. I want to do something new. This industry is just going to open up for you. We're looking for people to find a hole. I used to say that at ETC all the time. Find a hole and fill that space
Yeah.
and start to interact and engage and be assertive to it, because you're going to learn, you're going to create more self-confidence in what you're doing, and that starts to create, and then leadership principles beyond that, communication, respect, those types of things. Those are all going to come as you start to engage yourself more. And then lastly, I'll say, like, find sources for you to stay educated. The other thing I see in tolling is we are so lean as an industry. We put you in a space, and then, you're just, that's it. Go develop this, or go, and you kind of, the blinder thing occurs. Always make sure to keep yourself actively involved, like, the IBTTA Smart Brief, Toll Road News. Is another one that I use, and just learn more about what we do overall. ITS, get yourself, enrolled in a couple distributions of daily emails or magazines. And I think you can find that thing that makes you click, like I did. I come from customer service, and I'm sitting here in tolling. How did that happen? And yet I really love it, because I found my thing, right?
And going, like, just to kind of reaffirm one other thing too is, once you get that knowledge, you get the affirmation and the confidence, right? And then you become that.
It just starts to build, right? It just starts to build, and then you're hooked up with people that want you to succeed. And
when you've been talking throughout this discussion, I'm like, he's totally either a mentor or has been mentored. And like, I could see the passion and the drive. And you're always looking to grow. And so, and I know you've been with LJA just since June, so you're definitely bringing a lot of expertise, and it seems like you're going to make a great impact there. So I'm probably excited to have you.
I don't know. I like fun, right?
Yeah.
Like, have fun, laugh, and passion. I know I've said that word a couple times, but it's just, if you can't find it, then find something different.
Yeah. Hey, well said.
Like and I'm going to say it wrong, but it's too long. Like, you have to work for a long time, right? Unless you're lucky and you hit the lottery, or something else occurs. But find something that you can find your space in, and awesome. It motivates you, and it gives you passion. And when you wake up, like, not every day is that way, right?
No,
everybody's got that. Oh my God. But if it's not, like, you're enjoying it. Well,
that's awesome. Well, hey, Randy, listen, I want to say, this was a fantastic interview with you, and we greatly appreciate you being on, this episode here of Toll Talk, and, hear from you. And again, I sincerely meant, have this kind of kindred spirit. I didn't, we've seen each other, we've hung around, but, to kind of hear. That's right. We're right there. I'm going to see you at IBTTA like this. But
I appreciate it too. And just the opportunity. I love what you guys are doing here, because you're bringing us all out. It's not just about key players within our industry space. You're exposing all of us within the industry, helping to share stories and people, and, just, I think it only helps us all to become more engaged in what we're doing together. So as soon as I saw you guys starting to do this, I was like, win-win. And I've seen it grow for you. So, it's a benefit for Mojo. It increases your exposure, but it's more about what you're doing for us and this industry, helping us all to learn and get to know each other more on an individual basis. We are a relationship-driven industry. 100%. And the more we can know about how much we all have this same passion for what we do, we're just going to become more successful together. So I got to thank you. I hope you guys give me a chance to come back and we get to talk more, because I think I talk too much, and I apologize.
No. It's
we got like what? Like 4 things. So
No. But you 4 bullet points, but like, sincerely, years of experience. Just kind of, you can hear. I hear from you that wisdom, that experience, that insight, right? And that's what people need to hear. They need to hear who are you interacting with on a daily basis? Where has the industry gone? And you just added to that today. So, but yeah, we'd love to have you back on. Absolutely. So, get in some good, some awesome, some additional awesome topics. So. Well, yeah, listen, Randy, thank you so much for joining us today. And I want to thank all of you that are joining us today on the podcast. Toll Talk is going to continue to grow. We've had such a great warm reception to everything we're doing. And thank you again, Randy, for reaffirming that. And, we want to keep bringing you great content. So if you have any questions for Randy, or you want to hear more topics and more interesting discussions, please make sure you leave a comment, subscribe, and tell us what you're thinking. So thank you very, very much for joining.
Yeah, thank you so much, Randy. And
again, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, listen, you guys have a great day, and thanks for joining this episode.
Yeah. Peace.